Hello, class. This is Brandy Gaines coming to you um, for our first assignment for the last class. Yay! Um, so, the responses I will give are based on the text from the Care Coordination, The Game Changer, How Nursing is Revolutionizing Quality Care by Lamb 2014 edition. So let's get to it. What care coordination activities are occurring in your practice settings? What quality and cost outcomes are they regularly looking at? And then we were supposed to log into the external site and see what we could add to our toolbox. So first I'll start with what care coordination activities are occurring in my practice setting. First I'll define the care coordination by the book. Care coordination is the deliberate organization of patient care activities between two or more participants, including the patient, involved in the patient care to facilitate appropriate delivery of healthcare services. So, I think I'll just kind of paraphrase. So, what that means is we're supposed to be, as a facility or institution, and we're part of that institution, we're supposed to be making sure that while we're at work, not only are we doing our job, it's cost efficient, and it's also making sure we're only doing the absolute necessary for what our patient needs are. Or that's what I took from it anyway. Because there's no point in running extra tests or doing procedures that aren't necessary for what the patient is there for. It's not helping them. It's incurring a cost that they may not need. I mean, I would say even rich people don't need a cost that, to pay for something they don't need. It's just so. Anywho, so in my area, I'm in a kind of a under construction type area. I am in the emergency room, yet I am also in the psych behavioral health emergency room, which unfortunately for us, we've been doing some restructuring, and we're not quite the ER. We're not quite psych. Um, I know what I do at work, but as far as the higher ups deciding what it is I do at work, well, there's a lot of debate, and some of the issues I've seen with coordinating care is what I know to do as a psych nurse versus what they want to do because they don't really have psych experience. And I'm not making this up. They actually say, I don't have psych experience, but they're telling us what we do to be doing psych. So I get people that are IVC'd a lot. And what IVC means is involuntary committed. Well, here's why that's problematic. Sometimes they don't need to be involuntary committed. So, and when they do get involuntary committed, they incur a bill, which is kind of crazy when you think about it because it's like they're not asking to be here. Usually, a sheriff officer has picked them up from their home and bring them to me. And sometimes people don't even know why they're there. And in the state of North Carolina, you can involuntary commit anyone. So as long as I know your address and where the sheriff can come and pick you up from, I can say you're a danger to yourself, or she said that she was going to kill herself, or whatever. And the magistrate will, sure enough, just issue a warrant for your arrest. And, you're at home, sheriff pops up. They usually tell you, hey, if you just come to the hospital and get checked out, everything will be great. And you come back home. We just want to make sure you're safe. Well, a lot of times they don't want to come in. And again, when they do, they incur a bill. So they get charged for medication that they don't want. Sometimes I get people that get super upset and agitated, which makes sense. I would too. And so now they've got injectables. So they got PRN because their behavior got out of control or whatever. Um, so it's just one of those weird, I'm in a very weird area. They're also debating on what labs we need to medically clear people. They're trying to tell us that we just need to have urine and a breathalyzer, and I'm like, that's not how any of this works. Like you can't like psych people have comorbidities. You can't just look at them and say, "Hey, he's psych. He doesn't really need labs." No, you need to get a baseline because a lot of our patients come in and they're deficient in so many things. Um, Potassium is usually one of the big things that they're deficient in. A lot of people are dehydrated. A lot of people just haven't slept. Whatever disturbance they're having is causing all kind of havoc with their body. So the ER side decided that we didn't need to do the BMP and the CBC and to get our baseline stuff. And now we're finding that, or now they are finding out that now that they do actually need it, and before the patient can be sent inpatient, they have to have it anyway because the inpatient facilities will not take them. So now there's been a holdup. Now they've been in the ER, and so they're getting charged ER prices because they're in the emergency room. So they're trying to look at the. Sorry, I am actually still answering number two too. The quality and cost outcomes are they looking at? So the quality and the cost and the outcomes period is, are are we doing just basic stuff that needs to be done? If the person's psychosis clears up, are we getting them retailed so they can go home? Are we causing them to have admissions that they don't need because that's costly? Um, the involuntary paperwork, the man time that's taken for the sheriff to do. The labs, is it worth it to do labs? Is it worth it to try and cut back on the labs? And there's evidence based practice in both forms. I think we need to get labs because I've never seen how we can actually medically clear somebody without knowing anything about them. Like you can't just look at somebody and say, "Yeah, I think she's okay." Um, so as far as my external sources for my toolkit population, I went on that site, and I know everybody doesn't know everybody's project. My project has to do with the I'm gonna do it at a church, and like a small African American church in my community. And in doing so, one of the problems that I identified was, or this we're gonna end up looking at is a couple of them, but the main part is gonna be looking at trauma and actually talking to children, the children in the community, and in the church itself about proper touches, being body more positively body conscious and all this other stuff, self-esteem based stuff. A lot of times parents don't know how to talk to their kids about stuff, and instead of um, teaching them about sex, they just tell them not to do it. Well, they're doing it anyway, and then they're getting advice from friends, and um, so the point of my project is to actually give them a dialogue, a safe dialogue and safe space to have those conversations. And actually, I'm gonna self guide, or let them self guide a little bit because I want to see. It's different for me as the adult to tell them something as opposed to see what's actually affecting them. And that's what I want to do with the project. I don't want it just me to just swipe into the community and say, here's what you're gonna do, as opposed to let's see what you already know. Let's see if it's accurate. Are there any questions? And what can we do to have a better understanding? And even with the parents, like how to have these conversations that can be difficult with their kids. And that's it. So hope y'all have a good night. Yep, that's it.